Alright, let's do the postpartum talk. Daisy's sleeping. We moved her to a big girl bed instead of, so she's slept with us since she was born, but we're kind of trying to transition her into solo sleeping, and we decided to skip the crib stage, and we just put her mattress on the floor. And so we're trying that out. She's been taking her naps in there in her room the past few days, and she's doing a really good job. She doesn't sleep through the night yet, so she still sleeps with us at night, but yeah, so far so good. So I know Daisy is she's 10 months old. She'll be 11 months old this month. And I'm just now getting around to talking about postpartum. You'll see in my past videos, I had her around midnight and then had to go to the hospital and stay at the hospital for a few hours. And then I got to come back home, and I didn't feel much pain. Like, I had to get a lot of stitches. I tore pretty badly. So I didn't feel much pain like the first day or two, but then it really started to take its toll because I couldn't really stand up or sit down on my own. So that was really difficult to deal with. Basically needing someone with me all the time. And it was just really painful, and it was a lot of, it's so much work dealing with the pads and the ice pads and the diapers, and definitely get the adult diapers for after. The hospital gives you some, they're like these mesh things, but definitely buy the any type of adult diaper, you know, at the pharmacy. They are really comfortable, really absorbent. I highly recommend. Just having to deal with all that extra stuff on top of dealing with a newborn, it gets a little overwhelming. I got kind of down in the dumps for sure. But it was all, and your mind's kind of going, you know, a million miles an hour. I am really thankful to Kyle, who's a huge, unbelievably huge help. He knew what he had to do. I mean, my whole family, I think, kind of went through this period of holding their breath, because like, it was kind of scary after I had her, like, not my blood pressure not being under control and having to go to the hospital and everything. It was just kind of scary, and everyone was really great with getting me what I needed, and it took us a while to kind of get into the rhythm of things and to find out a good system that worked. And definitely having like a goodie basket next to me in arm's reach with drinks, you know, water, like hydrated vitamin drinks, snacks, different things, like my pain medicine and prenatal vitamins and all that I was still taking, my iron supplements. So having that all within arm's reach, so if no one was there, I didn't have to get up or move around much to be able to get to it. I sat right here on the couch for most of her first few weeks. She slept in my arms, ate, didn't do much else. I couldn't do much else, so this is our little spot. And at nighttime we would get up and move to the bed and do the same thing, and in the morning we get up and move to the couch and do the same thing. So it definitely got a little monotonous. And probably about I think it was actually 1 month after she was born, I went out and we went to the farmer's market in our town, and that was like our first little outing, and that was really exciting. And it definitely took a full month for me to feel comfortable walking around and going out and not being afraid that I was just gonna like collapse or bleed, or which I was still bleeding. That's a whole nother thing. They tell you like the average time for bleeding after having a baby is 8 to 10 days, and I bled for a full month. It was about 3 to 4 weeks, yeah. And it was really annoying, and I did get scared about it a few times. I went to the doctors for it, and they just kept saying it was fine. And I mean, I guess it was, because they say to a worrying point is if you're filling a pad within an hour multiple times. And I wouldn't necessarily fill a pad within an hour, but it was just unending. Like, it felt, after that 8 to 10 days, I was like, okay, I'll wait a few more days, I'll be fine. And then it got to 2 full weeks, didn't seem like it was stopping. And then I think 3 weeks is when I went to, after that 2 weeks is when I went to the doctor. And then it was 3 weeks, I kind of felt like it was tapering off. And then it was almost 4 weeks that I stopped bleeding completely. So that added on to just having to deal with annoying stuff while trying to, adjust to newborn life. So it was probably around her 6 or 7 months that I did start to feel like your postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, because at that point she was born at the end of August, so I wasn't able to move or do much for the rest of summer and through fall. I did do a couple like family activities and stuff, but then winter comes and Kyle had to go back to work a few weeks after, and then it's like the seasonal depression on top of the postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression. I guess it just really got to me that I was inside every day doing the same thing over and over again. So that was definitely something I had to muster up a lot of strength. There were a couple of close people that would regularly check up on me, and I was able to talk to them a little bit about it. And touching on it was nothing major, so I don't know if I would have gotten to the point where maybe I would have felt like I had to reach out to somebody, but I think I just needed some reassurance from a few people. And Kyle obviously was always giving me reassurance that I was doing a good job and that everything was okay. And it was just a time period that we had to get through. I definitely had to deal with the unwanted opinions and people telling me I'm doing things wrong, or I'm gonna spoil her. It took me a while, and it did get me upset quite a few times, but eventually you just learn to nod your head or say, no, that doesn't work for us, or we're not going with that method, and you just kind of learn to be your own cheerleader, and realize that you know what's best for your baby, and let your instincts drive you, and you know what they need for sure. I'll say the one thing that people especially had an opinion on was her sleeping with us. And before I had her, I kind of assumed that she would sleep with us. It wasn't exactly a plan. We didn't have we didn't have it written in stone that she would sleep in a bassinet or sleep with us, and that works for some people and it doesn't work for some people. I've seen moms say that it gave them a lot of anxiety and they were filled with worry when their babies were in the bed with them or if they were sleeping in their arms, and it was the opposite for me. A few times she did nap or sleep in her bassinet and I didn't get a wink of sleep, and I was either staring at the monitor or leaning over her bassinet watching her sleep, and so that just didn't work for me. And when she was, and I think it's important that you figure out the safest and the proper ways when bed sharing with a child. Obviously, I think a thing that a lot of pediatricians do, which is unfortunate, is they scare mothers about bed sharing when the reality is, as humans, we've always done it, and throughout cultures across the world, they still do it, and it's a norm. So it was the best option for us, and it definitely got a few people that would say some pretty rude things about bed sharing. But obviously the number one thing is you're spoiling them, they're never going to leave your bed, blah blah blah. And we got a few isn't that how babies die? Aren't you afraid they're going to suffocate? A few, I knew someone whose baby died from that. So I guess if you're out there and you're watching this video, don't say things like that. It's extremely rude, and all you're doing is scaring a mother into doing things she might not feel comfortable doing, and no mother is going to put their child in danger just willy-nilly. Mother's number one goal is to keep her child safe. A parent's number one goal is to keep their child safe. So to say things like that is almost to imply that the mother and father don't have the baby's best interest at heart, and they do. And it took me a long time to get into that mindset, and I think that mindset's really important, to not let other people's opinions waver your instinct. So Daisy is 10 months old. She still sleeps with us. She, like I said, we're practicing sleeping on our own. It gives me a lot of anxiety still. So that's something I have to deal with, and I have to get used to, and I have to get to a point where I'm comfortable sleeping without her, and she'll practice that. And she has started trying to walk. She walks amazingly. She's super eager when we walk her with our hands, she's taken a few steps on her own so far. That's her biggest hurdle, is that she gets really excited when she takes a step. She starts to bounce and she loses her balance. So that's where we are right now. We took her to the beach for the first time. We'd had a little just day trip to the beach, and she loved it. She was super interested in the sand and in the water, and she wasn't scared at all, which makes me really happy, Kyle and I, because we are beach goers. We love the beach, and we're taking a family vacation later this summer. We're going to Deep Creek out in Western Maryland. I'm super excited to get her out on the water and just immerse her in all the fun stuff out there. So also I went back to work beginning of April. So that was when she was like 7 months or so. It was definitely a huge adjustment at first. I was excited to get back to work, but I was also really worried about leaving her. I go to work 2 days a week and she stays with my mom. And my mom was the only person I would trust her to stay with. Definitely adjusted to it now, and she's adjusted to it. She loves going over my mom's house, and she gets so excited when I come pick her up and physically am back to my, I think, pre-pregnancy self. That was one thing I also struggled with, emotionally and physically, was being weaker than I am used to and not having as much muscle and not being, like, right after I had her, I could barely lift myself to like change positions in bed or change positions on the couch. And it was really frustrating being so weak like that. And it took a long time to build that muscle back up and to, just be able to do simple things again. Like when I first started taking walks, it was like I could walk and that's it, walk slowly. And now I'm getting to the point where try and do a little more abrasive movement, I guess. So I'm excited to get back into exercise as like a hobby, as it used to be. Like, I enjoyed physical fitness, I enjoyed weightlifting, running, things like that. So yeah, it's definitely taken time for me. Some people, like, they just get right back into it. They have their baby and they start doing squats the next day, and I just wasn't, I didn't feel my body was able to do that. And I did have quite a large separation. So sometimes in pregnant bellies, your muscles are being stretched apart and your abdomen muscles come together like this. And my midwife said at my 6-week checkup that I had quite a large separation. Usually it's about 1 finger width that you see, and mine was about 2. So I did have to take more time to just rest my body and let my muscles come back together before I could do any sort of, muscle building exercises. And you could feel it. It was kind of weird to feel like just this basically line of separation down my torso. But that's all back together now, and I have I'm getting some abs from basically just from Daisy walking on my belly and picking her up and putting her down and all that sort of stuff, just naturally building up muscle, which is nice. Yeah, the first physical thing I did with her was going on one of our favorite hikes, it was really nice, and it was really reassuring to me mentally that my body was capable of doing things. That hike was really special to me, and it was really exciting for Kyle and I just to be able to do that again. So I know I haven't been making videos as much as I wanted to, and I have all these videos planned, and I have taped this one so many times. Second guess myself a lot, and then I gotta think like, well, I'm not really creating this YouTube video just for other people. Like, it's great if other people watch these videos, but it's more for me personally to talk about this stuff. Is one thing I loved to do, especially while I was pregnant, was I watched probably 1,000 videos of women talking about their pregnancy and women talking about their postpartum and talking about their labor and watching their labor, and I just fed on all these videos. It's really interesting how pregnancy, labor, and postpartum is all completely different for every birther. Yeah, if anyone comes across these videos and they find it the least bit interesting, I'll be happy with that. So I'm gonna try and get a day in the life video done. That one's just hard because it's like, I don't know, every day seems so different, and every day, I guess it seems regular and boring to me, but it might be really interesting to some people, and it might be a breath of fresh air for some people, because you don't have to do a bunch of crazy amazing things throughout your day to have a good day. And also I thought maybe I'll do one of the days where I go to work, so people can see what it's like on one of those days, because it's a busy day. And also I want to expand the page and not only talk about, you know, these things that have to do with Daisy, and also want to do stuff like videotaping, you know, our breakfast, lunch, and dinner for that day, videotaping going on hikes, videotaping, you know, going and visiting my sisters. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing, and if you want to like a video, thank you for liking, and I promise I will make more videos soon. So thanks again for coming to my channel, and I'm also going to put my Instagram in the end of this video if you want to hop on over there and give me a follow. What do you think? Yeah, is that good?